Dzień za dniem, noc za nocą, nasze życie upływa pod bezkresnym niebem. Marzymy o rzeczach wielkich, ale życzymy sobie rzeczy prostych. Myślami wybiegamy do przodu, ale jesteśmy świadomi, że życie toczy się tu i teraz. Spoglądamy w niebo z dobrego miejsca na ziemi.
Kujawsko-Pomorska Szkoła. Dzień dobry, witajcie. 12:45 to najlepszy czas na to, aby pouczyć się troszeczkę języka angielskiego. Maturzyści, jesteście z nami? Mam nadzieję, że jesteście. Jeśli będziecie mieli jakiekolwiek pytania, to można je zadawać na żywo. Wystarczy, że napiszecie pod adres Messengera, taki jak za chwileczkę zobaczycie na ekranie i tam oczywiście wszelkie pytania można zadawać. My je tutaj zadamy w waszym imieniu. Pani profesor, czy jest pani z nami? Pani profesor Monika Zalewska. Dzień dobry. No i teraz będzie po angielsku.
Welcome back, everybody. I must admit that it has become such a nice routine to come here and talk to you guys. I just wish I had some of you talk back to me. That would be lovely to have. Today we're going to finish modal verbs and something that I promised you last week, so phrasal verbs, yes? But we're going to start not with your homework, but with the traps that I didn't manage to do last time. I didn't want to do it in a rush, but there are a few things that you have to remember and keep in mind when you do those transformations with modal verbs, because you tend to fall into certain pitfalls, into certain traps connected with modal verbs. So I'll talk about the traps, and then we'll do homework, and you will see that sometimes you might actually fall into those traps while we do the homework, yes, that I gave you last time. So, traps. Have a look at the first two sentences, the differences between the two sentences, the two first sentences. John had to go to the army and John must have gone to the army. When you have all those forms with modal verbs with do, be doing, have done, have been doing, what we say is that those are modal verbs in the past. But with must, you have two different modal verbs in the past. The first proper form in the past is John had to. And then the second form, modal verb form, is John must have gone. So what is the difference? The difference basically is in the headings that I gave you last time connected with the four forms. So look back, every single time you use a modal verb like might, could, must, have done something, look back to the headings I gave you. So possibility, impossibility, and certainty. Those three things have to be in your heads, okay? So when you say John had to go to the army, this is the past form of have to or must. And it means that in the past, he had to, he was forced, he was made to go to the army, okay? So somebody came, forced him to go to the army. This is the past form, the kind of direct past form from must or have to. Now, what about the second one? John must have gone to the army. This one comes from those four forms I told you about, and must goes under into this group that go with the heading certainty. So when I gave you those sentences, the first sentence was always I am sure that, and then John must. So this is what you have to do. The second sentence, John must have gone to the army, basically means I am sure that John has gone or went to the army, okay? I am sure. So this is my certainty about a certain thing that happened, okay? So this is not about John, really, the sentence. This is about me, how sure I am about the fact that John went to the army. So imagine this situation. You have a brother who is a soldier, and you know that he was going to return to the army on this very day. Yeah, so you go into his room and there is no equipment, there is no uniform, there are no guns, and he's gone. So you look around the room, his room, and you say, well, he's not here, so he must have gone to the army. So this is not about him being forced, this is about how sure I am, okay? I hope you understand. So the first sentence means basically John was forced, was made to go to the army. The second sentence is about me and my certainty. I am sure that John went to the army, okay? Look at the second group. John Mark this time. So Mark could help his mother, Mark was able to help his mother, and Mark could have helped his mother. The first two, remember I told you about the difference between could and be able to in the past. If the performance of the action is of importance, then you focus on the performance. Did he do it or did he not? Okay? So in the first sentence, Mark could help his mother basically means Mark had the possibility to help his mother, or there was a possibility that Mark had the possibility to help his mother. I think this is the best sentence that we can give here. So there was a possibility for him to help his mom. The second sentence, Mark was able to help his mother, basically means he managed to help his mother, which means Mark helped his mother. Okay? And the third one, Mark could have helped his mother, and this time with could, you go to the heading, and with could, may, and might, the heading was possibility. So it's possible that. And again, just like in the previous group, this time you're not talking really about Mark, you're talking about yourself as a speaker here. You're talking about how sure you are about this action, whether it was performed or not. And you think that it is possible that Mark helped his mother. So this sentence, again, just like John must have gone to the army, it has nothing to do with Mark. It has everything to do with me as a speaker and how sure I am that he performed this action. Okay? Mark could have helped his mother means it's possible that Mark helped. The first one, Mark could help his mother. Mark had the possibility to help his mother. Mark was able, Mark helped. Okay? That's the difference. And the last group, he can't have drowned and he may not have drowned. Okay? The first thing I have to point out, because I've seen this mistake many, many times, is that remember that you are negating the possibility, not the grammar. So not should come after the modal verb, which talks about the possibility or impossibility of something, not after the grammatical form, so not after have. So it should be he may not have drowned, not he may have not drowned. Okay? You negate the possibility, not the grammar, not the past tense. Okay? So the not should go next to the modal verb, so it should go next to the thing that it negates. So let's have a look. He can't have drowned, he may not have drowned. If you look at can't, can't means it's impossible. So the first sentence basically means it's impossible that he drowned. The second sentence, may is possible, and not, so it is possible that something didn't happen. So it's possible that he didn't drown. Let me put it into some kind of context. So imagine a crime scene and you have a detective and he or she is looking down at a corpse. And they say, he can't have drowned. Why? Because there is a bullet hole in his brain. That means there is no other possibility. This is the only explanation. He can't have drowned, meaning it's impossible that he drowned. There is no water, there is a bullet hole in his forehead. So, he can't have drowned, he must have been shot. Now, he may not have been drowned. They're looking down at the body and say, okay, he may not have drowned. There is some water in the lungs, and I can see some water around, but there is also a bullet wound in the chest, and there are always also strangulation marks on the neck. So there are a few possibilities. So he may not have drowned. He may not have died from the bullet wound. He might not have drowned from the strangulation. Maybe all three factors came into play. Maybe all three factors contributed. So may not have done something means it's possible that something did not happen. He can't have drowned means it's impossible that he drowned. Okay? So let's look at your homework and let's go through the sentences. Why didn't you tell me you were coming? It's about the past. Let me remind you, I told you modal verbs in the past, those with infinitives, have 4 forms possible. To, instead of to, just do, be doing. Past forms go with have, done, and have been doing. Okay? So we have 4 forms possible, nothing else, yes, when it comes to modal verbs in the past. So Why didn't you tell me you were coming? You didn't tell me about something, so I'm being critical. So this is reproach. So we go to should, and this is in the past, so this form. You should have told me you were coming. You should have told me. Perhaps they will come round tonight. Perhaps, so we're going to those modal verbs that talk about possibility, so may, might, could. They, may, might, could, and it's a future tense, so we go to the first form. They, may, might, could come round tonight, the first form. You are forbidden to take out library books without paying the membership fee. You are forbidden. If something is forbidden, you go to the strange form of must, so mustn't. This is forbidden. This is imperative that you shouldn't do it. So you mustn't take out library books without paying the membership fee. Tim gave me some money even though it wasn't necessary. He gave it to me. It was not necessary. Remember the sentence we had, no harm done? I needn't have good dinner because John had bought Chinese takeaway food. I did it for nothing. Well, but no harm done. This is the sentence. This is what we are looking for. So he gave me some money, even though it wasn't necessary. So we will use need, and it's a past form, so needn't have given me the money. Yes? I'm sure he didn't know that I was leaving. I'm sure he didn't know, so it's a negative certainty, so impossibility. Impossibility is with can't. So, he didn't know I was leaving, past form. He can't have known I was leaving. Now, let me point something out, because this has happened repeatedly as well. There is negative, when you think certainty, you automatically kind of think must. But mustn't is forbidden. Remember about this and don't put it into the past. This is something completely different and you shouldn't do it. There is no such thing as he mustn't have done something, meaning what it was forbidden in the past doesn't make sense. So don't use mustn't have for this. I'm sure he didn't know. This doesn't work like that. Impossibility is can't, couldn't have done something. So he can't have known, he couldn't have known I was leaving, not mustn't. Yes? Okay, it was thoughtless of you not to invite her to the party. Criticism again. So we go back to should, and it's about the past. So you should have invited her to the party. Residents are obliged to recycle bottles, cans, and newspapers. Are obliged, external obligation. So the best choice here is have to. You could, I mean, if it was a written notice somewhere on a building, then they could actually use must as well. But for your sake, if you have it like that with a transformation, use have to. This is a present tense, are obliged. External obligation because it's put onto them by an external body. So residents have to recycle bottles, cans, and newspapers. It wasn't necessary for us to buy the tickets earlier, so we bought them 10 minutes before the concert. So you have a past, in a way, obligation, but it was not used. Remember the two forms of need. One was used, the other one was not used. If it was used, then it was just for nothing, it was no harm done. With the one that was not used, that was with didn't. So it wasn't necessary, so we didn't have to, or we didn't need to buy the tickets earlier, so we bought them 10 minutes before the concert. We didn't need to do something, basically is the same as we didn't have to. There was no necessity, we didn't do it, we didn't use it, okay? I'm sure Mike didn't realize that he had offended you, so certainty, negative certainty, so impossibility. Mike can't have known that he had offended you. Perhaps Paul is trying to contact you from his office. Present continuous, perhaps. So you go back to possibility, may, might, could, one of the three, and you have the continuous present form, so this one. So Paul is trying to contact you from his office, so Paul may, might, could be trying to contact you from his office. I wish you had explained the situation to me. Criticism, again, this is a very common structure with should have done something or shouldn't have done something. I wish you had explained, that means you didn't explain it to me, so you should have explained it to me. Remember that I told you also that there are those two extra forms, like you could have or you might have explained that to me, but when it comes to transformations, perhaps it's better if you just steer clear of them in your matura examination. In speech, in normal life, you can do that because you can use correct intonation. You say, oh, you could have done that, then it's clear that you are being critical. But when you say, you could have done that, that means it's possible that you did it. So the stress on intonation here is huge. So leave it out of the writing. In life, you can use it, no problem. But in your transformations, stick to should have when you talk about, when you use criticism, okay? So I wish you had explained, you should have explained the situation to me. Simon left the waiter a bigger tip than it was necessary. So he did something that was not necessary, but he did it, so needn't have done something. So Simon needn't have left the waiter a bigger tip or a big tip, yes? She was forced by the school regulations to wear a uniform when she was in primary school. She was forced. So this is not certainty. This is something that was forced upon her. Remember my trap that I talked to you about at the very beginning? John must have gone to the army. John had to go to the army. This is about her. She was forced. So this is the past form, the normal past form of must or have to. So she had to wear a uniform when she was in primary school. Okay, that's it. It is possible that they didn't receive your letter and you have a negative possibility. So the last situation, remember, with the detective and the body, so something is possibly negative. It's not impossibility, it's a negative possibility. So may not or might not. It's possible that they didn't receive your letter, so they may not have received your letter. They might not have received your letter. Also, remember that this doesn't work with could. But all three of them work in a positive possibility. He, for example, it's possible that they received your letter, so they might, may, could have received. But when you make it negative, then only may and might work with possibility. So they may not have received your letter, or they might not have received your letter. This is a negative possibility. If you use it with could, they couldn't have received your letter, that becomes impossibility. So with negative, possibility, may and might only, okay? The tree fell, but we managed to rescue the girl from being killed by it. So we managed, you go straight to be able to, yes? Possibility used, just like managed. So the tree fell, but we were able to rescue the girl from being killed by it. Okay? I hope it's understood. I kind of looked through matura examinations, like through the past papers, and came up with like 3, but it's like really quickly, really at random, took a few different past papers, and I immediately found like 3 different examples of modal verbs. I'm sure that this gadget is Stephen's idea. He must invent it last year. So you have past form and you have must. So you go to this one. He must have invented it last year when he was unemployed. It's a pity you didn't apologize to her when you had a chance. Should, criticism in the past. So you should have apologized to her when you had a chance. Yes? And I'm sure the Browns considered this the decision to adopt the dog very carefully. I'm sure certainty, must, past action. So the Browns must have considered their decision to adopt the dog very carefully. That was a very quick search through past papers, and I came up with 3 different modal verbs. The most common are must and should, but you should understand all of them just for safety's sake, okay? Now, this is all on modal verbs. Now, let me go to phrasal verbs that I promised last week, and you asked me for before, okay? This was a request, I think, from almost the very beginning when we started doing the classes on matura examination, and somebody asked me if there was like a kind of comprehensive list of modal verbs, of phrasal verbs that you can kind of put into your heads, remember, memorize, and use later. Obviously, there is no one list that all the examiners and all the people who create those papers have and they look at and they have distributed to everybody. But there are some phrasal verbs that are the kind of a must-know kind of thing, yes, and you should know them. There are, this is taken from Michael Vince, and you will have his book at the very end, kind of to show that the reference, the source is there. There are 3, and I took it from FCE, so it's from B2 level. so that it is actual mature kind of level. Yes? Okay, let's have a look at them together. And I'll go one by one quickly. If something comes kind of into my head as well, I'll write it down. But the first group are verbs with two particles. So you have cut, down, on, two particles, down and on. Two pieces after the verb, those are particles. So to cut down on is to limit. For example, you should cut down on the number of cigarettes you smoke. You should cut down on the sugar that you eat, on chocolate that you eat. Catch up with. They are too far ahead for us to catch up with them. So kind of come to the same level as them. You can catch up with the material at school. You can catch up with someone who is ahead of you on something. Come up against is to meet or find. I'm afraid I've come up against a problem we can't solve. Yes, to come up against a problem especially. Come up with is invent. So I've come up with this wonderful idea on how we can use this and this and this. Yes, think of something. Drop in on, it's to visit. So I dropped in on Bill and Sheila on my way home. There are plenty of different phrasal verbs talking about short visits. Call on someone, come round, and so on. Those also appear. Here, drop in on someone because we have two particle modal verbs. Face up to something, like face up to reality, face up to the facts, and so on, meaning accept and deal with. Feel up to. Do you feel up to going, for example, for a walk? Do you feel up to doing something? Meaning, do you feel strong enough to do it? Get away with something. This is usually about something bad. So he stole, I don't know, a piece of candy from the shop, but he got away with it because it was his first offense. Yes, so he wasn't punished. He escaped punishment. Get along or get on with, meaning have good relationships. So how do you get on with your mother-in-law? How do you get along with your father-in-law? Meaning what kind of relationships do you have with them? Get on with something, that's to continue your work, yes? How are you getting on in your new job, for example? Or stop talking and get on with your work. Get out of something is avoid a responsibility. So I managed to get out of working. Get round to do something is like sit down, sit your bottom down and do something. So I haven't got round to decorating yet, meaning I haven't found the time to do it. Get up to, what has young Bill been getting up to? What are you up to? Even without get, that means what are you kind of scheming in that head of yours, yes? Go in for, do you go in for sailing, meaning as a hobby? Yes, I go in for like I don't know, fitness, yes, whatever. Grow out of, this is like become too old of something. It could be about clothes, it could be about maturity, like psychological. For example, John has grown out of playing with dolls, meaning he's too old for that. Keep up with something, you're going too fast, I can't keep up with you. It's like keep up with, stay on the same level, catch up with is come to the same level, yes? Look down on and look up to are the opposites. Look down on someone means disrespect, and look up to someone means to respect someone. You're going, our neighbors look down on anyone without a car, meaning they don't respect, meaning they feel superior. Look up to someone, I really look up to my teacher or my father or my mother, I respect them. Look forward to, and remember that after look forward to, if you use a verb, it should be ing. So we are looking forward to our holiday, or we are looking forward to going on our holiday, meaning we are waiting for it, yes? Make up for, it's like compensate, yes? So this wonderful dinner made up for the bad service. Put up with something, meaning tolerate. I can't put up with these screaming children anymore. Run out of something, very common phrasal verb, meaning there is no more left of something. Oh dear, we have run out of petrol, no more petrol. Stand up for something, meaning defend. You stand up for yourself, you stand up for the ideas, you stand up for something, okay? So we have the first group, verbs with two particles. Now, the second group are verbs with one particle, transitive and inseparable. What does it mean, transitive? Transitive modal verb is the one that has an object. You know, subject, verb, object, like John bought a dog. John is the subject, verb is the bought, dog is the object. So if a verb is transitive, then it needs an object. For example, ask after somebody, okay? Then call on somebody. It needs an object. And it's inseparable, though this group is inseparable, that means you cannot separate the two pieces of phrasal verbs. You cannot put anything inside. So ask after is ask for the news about someone. So Jim asked after you yesterday. You can't say John asked you after. They are inseparable. You can't break them up. They have to form one piece. So ask after someone is ask of news, then call for, and again, but this one is not only come and visit, but also take you. I'll call for you at 6 o'clock so that we can go to work together, yes? Then call on, that's to visit. I called on some friends in Plymouth. Come across is find, yes? This is very common. When I was looking through some old stuff that in the attic, I came across something, my old photos, yes? Come into, especially with inheritance and especially with money. Like when her uncle died, Mary came into a fortune, yes? Count on, I'm counting on you, that means I depend on you. This is, you are the person I trust here, yes? To deal with, take action, like deal with problems, deal with your boss, deal with something. Do without, meaning I don't need it, yes? We'll have to do without a holiday this year, and this is actually true this year, yes? We'll have to do without a holiday. Not many people will go on a holiday, not many people will risk it, yes? So we'll have to do without a holiday. Get at, this is like imply, suggest, yes? Oh, for example, your shirt I can't button up your shirt. What are you getting at? That I have put on weight, yes? So what are you implying? What are you suggesting, yes? Okay, get over, that means go through and recover from. So you get over a sickness, you get over a breakup with someone that you used to love, and so on and so on. Go over, that's examine in a way, yes? So let's go over our plan once more. Join in is take part, yes? So try to join in the lesson as much as you can. Live on, they live on the money, so this is what their income is. Look into, that's also kind of investigate, go into something. So the government is looking into the problem. Look round is like have a look around somewhere. For example, this is a new house, I've never been here, so look around, yes? Or you look around shops, for example. Make for is move in the direction of. So when she left the house, she saw a dog, and the dog made for her immediately. That means ran in her direction. Pick on is like be nasty to someone. So my teacher is always picky on me, so it's like czepiać się or something. Run into is like bump into, so meet by chance. Bump into is another one. So I ran into Steve in the supermarket yesterday, or I bumped into Steve in the supermarket yesterday. See about, we'll have to see about getting you an office, meaning make arrangements. Yes, see about or see to. I need a new car, I'll see to it. That means I'll make arrangements, I'll take care of it. Stand for, one is tolerate, so I won't stand for such rudeness, but it also means to be a candidate for someone. For example, standing for parliament, standing for parliament, for Senate. Take after, this is also a very common phrasal verb, that means be similar in behavior, in appearance. So she takes after her mother, that means she looks like or she behaves like her mum. Okay, then we have verbs with one particle, transitive, so have a verb, but you can separate them. So you can say, we brought up this child, or we brought this child up, yes? This means wychować, yes? We brought up this child, then carry out, meaning act. So we haven't carried out, you haven't carried out my instructions. Call for, call off, sorry, that means to cancel, very common one. We have decided to call off the match. Clear up, two meanings. Clean, like could you clear up your place? Or the weather is clearing, the sky is clearing up, that means improving. Fill in, like documents, so complete, or be a substitute. So our teacher was ill, so Mrs. Frost filled in. Find out is to learn, to discover. I found out the secret. Give away, so you give it as a present, or she asked me not to give her secret away, means not to reveal the secret. Give up, stop doing something, give up smoking, give up something. And he gave up teaching, meaning stop doing, it was enough. And I give up, that means I surrender. Hold up, it's a robbery. So if somebody comes into a bank and says it's a hold up, that means it's a robbery, yes? Knockout, like in box, you lose consciousness. The blow on the head knocked me out. Leave out, that means somebody left me out. That means I was not included, for example, in the list. Look up, we've already had it, look up to someone as a three-part phrasal verb. Here, you look up a word in a dictionary, so you try to find it, or things are looking up means they are getting better. Make up, I think you made up the story, that means invented. The couple quarreled, but then made up, so they said, that's fine, I apologize, and they made it better. Pick up, I'll pick you up, so I'll collect you. Then put aside, kind of physically even, like he puts money aside every week for holidays, so saving. Put off, you either put off a meeting, for example, that means postpone in time, or the smell of fish put me off my tea, that means, discouraged me from doing it, yes, from drinking. And put up, let me put you up for the night, that means let me give you a room, a bed for tonight. Show around, let me show you around my house, meaning show you what it looks like. Take over, like this is the most common is like, for example, a hostile takeover of a company. So one company buys another one. Or if you are tired, I'll take over. That means I'll take your responsibilities. I'll substitute you. Take up, this is usually about hobbies. So I took up swimming last year, yes. Tear up, like into pieces, like a letter, for example. Think over is consider. Try out, use something for the first time. Try out the new computer, for example. Turn down, refuse. You turn down a marriage proposal. You turn down an offer. Wear out, I'm worn out after all this day. And work out means like calculate and come up with a solution. Yes. The last group, very short. Verbs with one particle and intransitive, so there is no necessity to have an object. Break down, the car broke down. That's it. Doesn't work anymore. Break out, this is usually like appear. For example, the war broke out, so it started. You can break out, burst out laughing actually. So break out, begin suddenly. Come out, like publish. Draw up, this could be like prepare, for example, about contracts, or suddenly an ambulance drew up, so came and stopped. Fall out is to quarrel. They fell out, but I made it up. That was before. Get away, the bank robbers got away in a stolen van. So escape, give in, so stop fighting, like give up a little bit, but this one is more to persuasion. Go off, and when the bomb goes off, your alarm clock goes off, that means start or explode. Look out, that means be careful. Set in, that means arrive and stay. So the winter has set in, that means it's the winter. Show off, it's like attract attention. Oh, you're such a show off with your new car, yes? Then take off is about planes. They start flying, so they take off. Turn up is appear somewhere, so guess who turned up at the party? Or can you turn up the sound, meaning increase. And wear off, when the drug wears off, so it subsides, it disappears, then you can do something. Okay, those are all the modal verbs. The examples I found in your mature examinations in past papers. The demolition company has destroyed the bridge, so the bridge has been pulled down. Remember to keep the same tense. Yes, that was present perfect, so you have pulled down a building. This one is not really a phrasal verb, it's an expression, but you should also pick up those expressions when you kind of while reading. Could you watch over my backpack while I'm swimming in the lake? Could you keep an eye on my backpack? John didn't enjoy the film as much as he had expected. Live up to someone's expectations, meaning be as good as you expected. So the film didn't live up to John's expectations. I have to write down this limerick. I won't manage, learn something by heart, meaning memorize. So I won't manage to learn it by heart in 5 minutes. And hurry up, we must start our journey immediately if we want to be in Berlin by noon. You have two possibilities with set out or set off on a journey. So hurry up, we must set off or set out immediately if we want to be in Berlin by noon. Somebody asked for phrasal verbs, and phrasal verbs are of vital importance. I love them. Most students don't like them because it's a kind of whole new set of vocabulary to learn, but they convey so many different meanings, and it's magical that you take an ordinary verb and a particle, you put them together and you have a whole new meaning. So I love phrasal verbs because they give you a completely new set of vocabulary, and if you learn them, you will never be, let's say, maybe talked about behind your back without you knowing about it. Phrasal verbs, idiomatic collocations, idiomatic expressions, collocations are a must. You must know them if you want to communicate effectively and never be talked about behind your back. So I hope this helped. And if you learn those, I'm sure you will be fine, you will be safe. Sorry for taking it over the time limit. Bye-bye, everybody. See you on Monday.